In this exercise video, we're going to be going through a hands and knees hip rotation exercise, also known as a fire hydrant. This is great for strengthening the backs of the hips and the deep rotators, as well as working on some stability from our core. So what we're going to need to do is get on our hands and knees on the floor, and we can either do this with or without a resistance band. So I'll show you without a resistance band first, and then we'll add that in later. So get on hands and knees. Stack yourself so your wrists are right underneath your shoulders and hands are shoulder width apart, and knees are directly underneath our hips and our hip width apart. This is our starting position here. And then what we're going to want to do is make sure that we are getting proper alignment and core engagement before we even start the exercise. So you want to think about lengthening your spine and bringing your head up in line with our spine, tucking our chin under so we're looking straight down between our hands, and then creating a flat spine position here. So we don't want to be here, we don't want to be here, we need to be right in the middle with this very slight arch in our lower back. So once we have our spine posture here, we're going to zip up our lower belly and create tension between our pelvic bones to try to get that stabilization from our core. Once we have this position, what we're going to do is lift one knee out to the side, keeping this 90-degree bend and keeping it in line with our hip here. So we're gonna lift this leg up, out in line, and then slow return back down. And the whole time we're keeping our spine posture long and we're keeping our core engaged. Nice, steady movement here. Only lifting up as high as you can with good pelvic stability and core engagement. So I don't want you to lift so high that you're starting to twist. That's not what we're looking for. We're going to be using different muscles and more likely to hurt yourself. So you want to think a small lift is better than a compensated big giant lift, okay? Because I want your pelvis to stay relatively square to the floor in front of you, okay? You'll get a little bit of a lift with that hip on that side, but I want it to stay as flat as you possibly can to isolate deep in that hip area. Showing you from a side view, stacking myself here, long spine, core engaged, lifting the hip this way, trying to keep our spine stable and our core engaged. So we don't want to be lifting up and doing this. You can't see my hip very well, but we don't want to be lifting and having that hip go really far up to the ceiling. So if we want to add in a resistance band, we're just going to add the looped band right above the knee joint and do the same thing. Now we have more resistance to work against, and our core is going to have to work a little harder and our hips are going to have to work a little harder. So same setup. We're just going to add the resistance band, pause, and then really think about that slow return back down. Otherwise, the band will just whip you back, and we don't want that. So you want to think about slow up, pause, and then very slow return back down. So with the resistance band, we're going to be working a lot harder, but you're also more likely to cheat. So you got to really focus in on that good posture, core engagement, and really slow, controlled movements when we add in the band.